A bunch of people will continue to purchase the game because we're addicted to the slop that Nintendo feeds us. But I want to make it clear, my stance has never changed. It is slop.
Hello and welcome to Gamified episode 151. This is where people actually working in gaming break down the biggest stories week over week, one game mode at a time. This week, $83 billion media deal just closed. Gaming got valued at zero. Marathon just pulled off one of the biggest sentiment reversals in recent memory. The New York's Attorney General is going after Valve. Pokemon just revealed Generation 10, and we're asking whether user-generated content is about to take over gaming or not. All right, let's jump into topic number one. Warner Bros. Is now being sold to Paramount, not Netflix. The game mode here is red flag or green flag. Is Paramount owning Warner Bros. Games in particular better or worse for the games industry or for that studio than if Netflix would have acquired them? A few months ago, it looked like Netflix was about to close an $83 billion deal to acquire Warner Bros. Discovery, HBO, Cartoon Network, Warner Bros. Games, etc. Then Paramount Skydance came in with a hostile bid, and now they have won. Here's the gaming-specific gut punch. When Netflix walked away, their CEO said they didn't attribute any value to the Warner Bros. Game studios. That's Mortal Kombat, Batman Arkham, Lego games, Undisputed, valued at zero. Now Paramount owns it instead, backed by Saudi Arabia's public investment fund with ties to the Trump administration. Red flag or green flag on this one? Go to Koji first.
Well, first of all, the whole thing is a red flag. I mean, more consolidation in general is absolutely horrendous for all kinds of industries, gaming, movies, etc. But I do think it's a green flag as far as gaming specifically is concerned. The reason why Netflix values this stuff at zero is because they tried to make gaming happen and they just couldn't make it happen, right? So like it's useless to them because people don't want their gaming platform. But I think that in the right hands, those games can do a lot. And so there's a small green flag amidst the giant Seinfeld-esque burning red light. So.
I knew that I had notes on more games that they acquired in this IP. Hogwarts Legacy, Hitman, Middle Earth. It was an amazing game as well. Injustice was what I meant to say, not Undisputed. Let's go over to Oliver. Oliver, what do you think about this one? Are we happy that Paramount has control over this studio instead of Netflix, who literally valued it at zero?
I think it's a bluff on the Netflix part. I think, honestly, this is sour grapes for Netflix. They lost the deal. They didn't come up in the valuation, and they're now talking bad about this because ultimately now they're competitors with this stuff. So I actually would say it's a green flag, and more of a green flag probably than Koji, just for the sake of, I think the games industry is fine. I think the games and the IP that they possess are pretty strong. And if you actually looked at Paramount's like arc over the last few years, they've done a number of things that I think have been quite innovative. The Paramount Plus platform has actually brought some new eyeballs. They've actually like partnered with the Champions League, other soccer teams, things like that, soccer leagues. And I think they have done some stuff that has shown some promise, in my opinion. And so in my opinion, yeah, like I said, I think it's more of a green flag than anything else. And I think the Netflix CEO is just upset that they didn't get this.
I'm going to Michael next, who hit you with the hard thumbs down in real life.
Yeah, that take deserves the biggest thumbs down. And I'm gonna say three beautiful IPs that Paramount has ruined over the last 6 years: Halo, Lord of the Rings, Star Trek. All things that gamers themselves tend to love. Paramount absolutely took those IPs, said, these have wonderful stories, really, really great messages, really great narratives. Let me just throw all that in the garbage, light it on fire, and do whatever we want with these IPs. I think this is one of the worst red flags ever. Yes, I understand that Netflix failed in gaming, and that's why they value the games. But I do agree with Peyton. It was more sour grapes versus them actually like making business decisions. But giving beloved gaming IPs like the ones you mentioned to Paramount, who over and over and over just absolutely destroys gaming IPs. Like, I was so excited for the Halo show. I was one of the biggest Halo fans ever. The show that they produced was the biggest piece of garbage I've ever seen. I was excited for the new Star Trek. The Klingon is in a relationship. It's the worst thing I've ever seen. So all I see over and over is Paramount taking beloved IPs and then putting some kind of weird, very woke spin on them, and it just ruins the IP. And as I feel like I speak for most gamers, and we can also see it in the gaming numbers for the Western companies, gamers don't like that, and we don't want more of that. And so now I'm worried that all these IPs that they're about to take in from this acquisition are about to get a little bit of the same flavor. And I just say RIP to some beautiful standalone IPs that are failing.
All of
He's
us
making a Klingon, dude. This guy's clinging on to the past, dude. Got to let it go about Halo.
Yeah. Michael anti-woke. It's Ratchet and Clank, not Ratchet and Hank. Am I right?
Knock. Paramount agreed to cover a $2.8 billion fee on behalf of Warner due to the termination fee that Netflix had also baked into the contract. Just wanted to add that additional context. Over to you.
Yeah, I'm a little disappointed in the research skills of our fellow panelists here. This is a massive red flag for a very, very simple reason. And the reason is the Trump administration had a direct hand processing this deal in favor of Paramount, right? They came in, called in CEO of Netflix. A day later, Netflix pulls out of this deal. There's a rumor that the Ellison family met the Trump administration and will be making changes to CNN, which is a product of Paramount. This was an acquisition that did not go through traditional business routes, but instead was swayed by an active administration. I think this is a net negative for people within the gaming space. This is not the way that you want gaming to go down. Gaming already has an issue where executives who are too far removed from the gaming culture are trying to line their pockets. We don't want that happening at an institutional level as well. I think in either situation, the IP, to Michael's point, probably goes down a bad path for whatever reason you may believe that might be. But the fact of the matter is the way this deal shook out is the biggest red flag here. And it leaves me to believe that they don't really care about the gaming studio either at the side of Paramount.
I'm going to go to Peyton in just a second, but real quick, all the panelists, thumbs up or thumbs down. Thumbs up meaning you're glad that they merged with somebody. Thumbs down if you just think they should have never merged with anybody. One thumbs up. Jerry?
Sit on that fence, Jerry.
Jerry, you have to first remove your thumb from you sitting on it, and then you can.
He got me back. Payback.
Justify this thumbs up.
Oh, for me. Oh, yeah. By the way, I am not well researched, like Knock is saying. So I am by far the speaker of gamers because no gamer is going to research any of this. Netflix is saying that they are going to not value those games is like Paduki. Let me just say that right now. It's complete Paduki. All right. The amount of value that comes from all of the games that you've laid out, Sam, Lego Batman, whenever I was at Gamescom and you guys were there too, that line was out the freaking door next to the Pokemon freaking booth, right? So I would say that there is a lot of value that comes to the Warner Brothers interactive suite of games. And so that's all I had to say. And no one else is going to research that. So thank you, Knock, for telling me that because that's the first time and last time I'm ever going to hear it.
Jerry, I'm tagging you in.
I think overall, it's Knock brings up valid concerns. It is very Canadian of him to just bring politics into it. But it is a valid concern. But I want to say, just from the aspect of games, I'm just happy Netflix doesn't have more stuff to botch, because we've been through this song and dance for years at this point, right? Of Netflix has this internal identity crisis when it comes to video games, right? Which is we want to be a game studio. Gaming is going to be a huge part of everything that we do. And then not knowing how to do that, and then still just being yep, games are going to be great. But internally, they've never shown that they actually want to be serious about the video games industry, right? So I really don't want IPs that are kind of legacy, like Halo, like Mortal Kombat, I think is one of the most botched IPs of all time, because it's we have this nostalgia and this love of Mortal Kombat, but hasn't been great in a long time. And so I'm happy that's not in the hands of Netflix. I think it's better for it to be in the hands of the PIF and have, an entity that's actually wanting to do stuff with games and, being able to maybe take those things to the next level. I just don't think Netflix was going to be the ones to do that. And so I think it's a green flag for gaming. I think there's a bunch of other red flags in this deal, though.
Koji,
I just say Mortal Kombat's defense that the new trailer looks incredible for the Mortal Kombat 2 movie. I just have to put it out there.
Mortal Kombat is only good at making trailers, dude.
You know what?
That new trailer looks pretty good.
You know what other trailer looks good? Freaking Marathon. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah, dude, the one in fucking in Oklahoma right now, dude.
Yeah, you look so
just
stupid,
a second,
bro.
Koji, back to you.
Yeah, I just want to rebut a little bit of what Knox said about the Ellisons. And not that I disagree with you, but I'm the king of dated references here. So this is Kodos and Kang running for president on The Simpsons. We have an evil corporate entity against another somewhat evil corporate entity being like, hey, we want to take over the thing you love. Like, there's no good option. But from a pure gaming perspective, the option of like, hey, the company that might actually care about making games is probably better than the one that has games as an afterthought on their platform that nobody touches. You know, that's all I'm saying. But I agree with you as far as like politically and like big picture. This whole thing is terrible. Like, what it says about Western culture in general is like everything must be constantly made bigger and consumed and revert back to the share price and all this stuff. And it's just like, why can't things just be good and we just leave them as good? Like, if you think about Warner Brothers as a whole, it's probably one of their best movie years in the last like 10 to 15 years. And they're still like, no, let's sell this shit. It's crazy.
Yeah, but I think the extension of what I'm saying is exactly that, right? The problem here is it is be bigger for the sake of being bigger. You don't want either of these studios to scoop up Warner Bros. I mean, the big five in Hollywood includes Paramount and Warner Bros. That number just got smaller, and Paramount got significantly larger in the process. This is a move that is purely about driving profit. And what have we heard repeatedly from the heads of these studios? Well, single player games don't make enough profit. And what do we need to do? We need to drive live service titles. We need to, like Sony said, deliver 12 live service titles over the next 3 years. The problem is nobody wants to play these games. I think you're going to end up in a situation, regardless of whether it's Netflix that makes the purchase or if it's Paramount, a bunch of IP, to Michael's point, is about to get wrapped up into a company who's probably not going to do a whole lot with it, or at the very least, not going to deliver games that we want to play. It'll likely be some version of a live service title that is soulless, that is planned to make microtransactions and cash in on a monthly new skin release or something of that nature. I think all in all, regardless of the larger picture here, this is a net negative for gamers. A big studio acquiring another big studio. We saw how that happened with what that looked like at Activision Blizzard. And for a while there, didn't look great.
Knock, do you think there's a world in which they just sell off the games portion of it, though?
I think that there is, and I don't agree with the rest of the panel on the notion that.
Oh, you're muted.
Stupidity. I don't necessarily agree with the rest of the panel that this is sour grapes or a nothing statement from the side of Netflix, right? When you're looking at these brands, they are acquiring Warner Bros. Because it has one of the largest catalogs of media on the planet, right? So for somebody like Netflix, they're trying to bring in more users to the Netflix subscription. They thought that answer might be games. They see a title like Warner Bros. As an opportunity to bring even more content into that platform. I believe them when they say they didn't attribute anything to the game studios. I think most of these studios are looking at it as, this is gravy, right? This is the cherry on top. This is a nice extra piece to the media brand that we are building. But when your core competency is media and you have an opportunity to pick up one of the 5 largest media brands on the planet, of course you're going to look at the game studio as a nice add-on and not the core piece or the function that is driving the acquisition.
It just feels underwhelming given that some of these titles, like Hogwarts Legacy, was everywhere. It defined like half a year in gaming whenever that thing came out.
Great game.
It was huge. So for them to literally be
Great
like,
game.
it doesn't even matter that we can make a sequel here, like on top of the other 10 games.
But I always,
make a sequel for.
Sam, a question for you on the Hogwarts Legacy. Was it a great game, or was it a great game because it was Harry Potter? Like, remove the Harry Potter IP. Is that still a great game?
You can't remove it.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Together.
They have it. The whole point is they have it.
You can.
Like,
I think it was a fine game. I'm gonna draw the line at great, though.
Anyway, we move on. Marathon's massive sentiment reversal ? I'm asking you guys for, this is a sentiment score, but we're doing it in the form of before and after. So Marathon just had what they called a server slam. It was a demo where essentially they allowed people to play for free over the course of a weekend. It seemed like beforehand, people were pretty upset, not very enthusiastic about the game. 143,000 people played over the weekend concurrently at some point. And now they're saying much better things about it. So I'm curious what you guys think. Is this, sorry, I'm losing my track a little bit. Marathon went from possibly the most overhyped game of 2025 to number 3 on the Steam top sellers in 72 hours. But with that being said, at the end of the day, they didn't actually sell anything. This was just a free demo. Tomorrow, the game actually releases, and we'll see if people actually convert to buyers. The gunplay is being called elite. Arc Raiders' own game designer called it a great A/B test. Sentiment score before and after the Marathon server slam. Let's go to Peyton first.
That's right, Knock. Give me it, baby. So I actually play the game, and the people that are actually hating on the game, I've always asked them, like, are you actually playing the game? And they say no, because they don't have a freaking brain and they can't make a decision for themselves. And so that's really what it comes down to. And people are complaining like, oh, is it as good as Arc Raiders? It is nothing like Arc Raiders. There's no crafting. There's no nothing like that. It's very story driven, very quest driven, very, I don't know, just very PvP driven as well too. Arc Raiders kind of has this like balance of like, hey, am I doing PvE? Am I doing PvP? And Marathon is one of those ones that is extremely different, but because it has extraction shooter in front of its name, it is being compared to Arc Raiders because that is also an extraction shooter. And so I feel as if Marathon Arc Raiders is going to be the direct comparison. I feel like Marathon is a very fun game within itself. I had issues though too. I'm not going to lie. There was definitely mouse click issues, I think with like Discord or some of those ones. And that really pissed me off, especially for like I was paying for it. But in all, I actually enjoyed the game. Is it going to be my daily driver? No. But I also think it's not as bad as people are saying, like that have never tried the game. Like this game sucks. It's like, well, go try the game and actually tell me how it is.
Scale of 1 to 10, Peyton. Before and after.
Oh, before or after? Like I would say a 7 for me.
No, before and then after. It was.
Oh, what do you? Sorry.
Like it was a 4 before the demo, and then it was like a 8 after the demo. You know what I mean?
Oklahoma public education right
It's
there,
a
baby.
public education. Jerry, shut your mouth. Yes. Yes, after. Let's go with after.
But
No,
Knock-
he wants
Knock
two
you-
scores, brother. He wants,
Before was a 4, after was a 7.
So I think Oklahoma has the lowest reading rates
Hey,
in the
yeah.
country.
Don't be talking with me whenever you have a Miami on your shirt, all right?
Knock, go ahead, buddy. Let's see if we can ace it. Give me the scores before we jump into the point.
Peyton's like, yes, I know all of those words.
I
Yes.
should have let Knock go first.
I think all might be a little generous, Knock.
I'll give it a 3 or 4. Let's call it a 4 prior to this change. I'm going to give it a solid 7.5 after the change. I mean, listen, there are two paths you can take, right? One studio delivered a trailer. People hated the trailer. They went radio silent. They launched the game. They fired half their staff, and then they closed the game all within a 30-day window after launch. The other studio said, we hear you. We are listening to your concerns. We're going to make some changes to make sure that those concerns are met. And the public sentiment around that title has shifted. I think Marathon has done everything that Highguard hasn't. They heard the concerns around the resource constraint between Destiny and Marathon. They heard concerns around the layoff. They heard concerns about shipping and serving 2 live service titles at the same time. But more importantly, they addressed those concerns and they've made some changes here. I think it's incredibly important to acknowledge the fact that the reason why Marathon is where it is because Bungie was willing to hear the criticism and make some changes. And we've recently seen how that plays out when a studio chooses not to. It's Highguard, and they're dead 30 days after launch.
Highguard did do some stuff though, right? Like within a first week, they were like, "Fuck it, we'll do 5v5." Just like stop
the problem with Highguard, their changes were like retroactive as a result of hate on game launch, right? It was this, "Nah, we can't hear you. We'll close our ears. We'll launch the game. Oh, you still hate it? Now we'll make some changes." Bungie goes and says, "Hey, we understand that you're concerned about Destiny 2. We understand that you're concerned about the layoffs that happened, but we want to, reiterate that we are committed to both of these titles." They hear some of the news and the drama around plagiarism, and they outs the guy who was responsible for some of those assets making its way into Marathon. They've made some changes to core gameplay mechanics. All of this has happened before it launched, right? And the most important part is that they're having conversations with us. They had a server slam. There was an opportunity for people to play this game before it was officially live. In the case of a studio like Highguard, it's, here's our trailer. We'll see you in 3 months. We're going to release the game and we're going to close the studio all within a 90-day window. That is an absurd series of events. And I think it's an important reminder that sometimes you have a belief on where the game should go, and sometimes you miss the mark. How you respond to that public backlash is the mark of a good studio here, and at least Bungie's given themselves an opportunity to succeed, which Highguard never did.
It just seems so arbitrary to me. It's like, oh no, that was the game launched, and it's like they're both free. Like you didn't have to do one thing that you didn't have to do in another place. It's not like you paid $60 for Highguard and then you got a shitty quality thing. I don't know. It all seems the same except for it's this definitive, like, we have said the word launch?
I'll give you one last anecdote and I'll stop hogging the mic. There are 2 shawarma spots down the street from me, okay? I go to both. One of these shawarma spots has really good shawarma. The other one's a little less good, but the guy always says hi. He knows my order. He wants to talk to me. He tells me to have a great day. I tend to go there a little more frequently than the place with a slightly better product because I'm a person, and it means that it means something to me that people are acknowledging the fact that I have an opinion and that I am a person. In the case of what we saw with Highguard, it was go fuck yourself. We're going to disappear for 60 days. And if you don't like it, it's your fault. I think Bungie is taking the exact opposite approach to that mentality, and I think they're better for it.
Absolutely.
All I know is Jagex has been kicking you in the nuts for 20 years and you're still opening up RuneScape every day.
Hey, they gave me old school.
Let's go over to Koji.
So my sentiment before was a 5, and my sentiment now is like an 8. I played the closed beta or whatever it was a few months ago, and it's still very familiar, but they made changes in the right way. And whether like, I think one of the greatest tricks that some of the game studios pull is like making you think it was your idea. Like they get feedback and they're like, this is a great idea, we're going to implement it, when they were just going to implement it all along anyway. So like, I think a lot of these changes were probably coming. When that closed beta happened, it was more of a sort of gray boxy environment. So I think that like they've basically what I'm trying to say is the rollout's been smart, right? Like they set expectations to be middling to low, and then as they're like exposing you to more and more of it, you get more and more excited because it's getting better and better, all the while being like, oh yeah, we listen to feedback. Well, they probably were just going to do this stuff anyway, and I think it's just really smart of them. And I think that don't count Bungie out. Their gunplay is always second to none. So.
Let's go back to Peyton quickly.
Big facts on the gunplay. Bungie is a staple for me growing up. Michael can't even talk right now because he's so hard on it. But I would say, like, in terms of the community too, like Highguard also just did not have time to be able to mobilize a community to defend them on launch, right? That's like one of the big issues that I see with the difference between like Supervive, Highguard, as well as now that you have with Marathon. Marathon did have these beta plays, and then also some people were going to bat for Marathon on X, saying like, "Hey, this is nothing like Arc Raiders." Whenever people are doing that, and you just need to have time for the community to mature, to be able to mobilize, to be able to defend you whenever you're launching. Highguard had nobody; they were naked and alone and afraid, and they're like, "Yo, we released it. Isn't this fun?" They're like, "No, it's not." But there are pockets of people on X that have talked about it and said they actually did enjoy Highguard, but they did not have time to be able to defend Highguard on a bigger level. That's all I wanted to say.
They had Jeff. They had our boy Jeff Keeley.
It's Jeff.
Jerry, over to you, bud. Before and after.
Before it was, I don't know, just a 3 probably. After, like a 6. Yeah, just like everybody's talking about Highguard recently, and I think we're also forgetting like the graveyard of extraction shooters and other like first-person and third-person shooters that have come in the last couple of years that have all like had a moment in the sun and then just flew too close to it, and their wings of wax burned, and now they're Icarus, right? And like the finals, what was like Delta Force? What was there was another one, Knock, that was out there. Help me. I'm forgetting a critical one. Okay, Knock's not going to help me. No, Tarkov's cool. But just like I think these things all pop, right? And these things all tend to do really well upon release, and then we don't know, right? I mean, Highguard, the example everybody's using, got a lot of people to go play it first couple weeks, and then now it doesn't exist anymore, right? So I think with these, I can't let it become like an 8 or a 9 or a 10 until they can show like staying power. So yeah, I mean, I think these things all look exciting on launch, and like server slams, beta tests, like they really just don't mean anything to me. Of course, you're going to get numbers in. Of course, you're going to get a lot of people playing the game when it's this like limited early thing, and there's like this air of exclusivity around it. I think I'd be more interested if this is still something we talk about in like 90 days.
Real quick, I see you guys nodding about like, oh, it needs staying power. Michael's like, yeah, it's not a 10 out of 10 until it has staying power. Don't you think like some of this stuff is self-fulfilling prophecy though? Like if you're not like, this is the shit out of the gate and everyone else is just like, nah, it's kind of like whatever, then no one's going to play. Like the reason a lot of people play is because people want to play, because the hype is there, because people believe it's a 10 out of 10. And if you're like, it's not a 10 out of 10 until it lasts like 5 years, then nothing will ever be a 10 out of 10 from here forward.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really like people getting what they want
Me either.
in life. You know what I mean? So, you know.
Let's go over to Michael Christine, then we'll give Ali the last word on this.
Yeah, tag me in, coach. So to Jerry's point, everything he said, completely accurate. I don't think a game has to be amazing for 5 years to be a 10 out of 10. But I do think that there is something to say about a huge, heavily marketed game launching for free one weekend with so much turmoil happening over the last few years. People are going to want to just check out the game because they're going to want to try to hate on it or say it sucks, which I did see a lot of people that said it sucks, or a lot of people compare it to Arc Raiders, which 100% I get the sentiment here that it's unfair to compare it to this game and that game, but it's an extraction shooter. That's exactly what people are going to do. They're going to compare it. So if people are having a better time playing a game that came out 6 months ago versus the game that's supposed to be super exciting and coming out now, my sentiment score is still around a 5, maybe even a 6 to Jerry's level. Pre the weekend release, the sentiment score is about a 2. And it's just because of all the issues that they had. But no, I think in 2026, the mark of a good game is after 90 days, are a lot of people still playing it. And I don't think we're going to see these like significantly high numbers that we're seeing in like the Arc Raiders, for example, of people still playing this game 90 days later, maybe 120 days. So I think we have to understand that releases like this are super, super hype and marketed. And obviously people want to try to hate play it, especially if it's for free. I will hold my breath if we're still talking about this 90 to 120 days from now.
Let's move on. New York Attorney General sues Valve over Counter-Strike 2 loot boxes. Will this lawsuit actually change anything? Is it a big deal, little deal, or no deal? Is the game mode? How significant is it really for Valve and the industry? We're going to go... let me give you some preamble here too. The CS2 skins market hit 4.3 billion in 2025. Rare skins traded for over $1 million last year. Valve takes a 15% cut on every single transaction. Half of top esports CS players are under 18, let alone what their actual user base might be made up of. And legal experts say that the case is going to be a tough win for New York. Loot boxes always deliver an item, and that is the loophole. But if New York wins, it doesn't just potentially unravel Counter-Strike's economy, it could unravel the entire loot box model across gaming, at least regionally. Big deal, little deal, or no deal. Let's go over to Michael Christine first.
I think this is a significantly large deal. Probably one of the biggest deals ever to impact gaming. There is so much litigation over loot boxes, not just in the United States, but across the world. There's so many jurisdictions now that have so many very, very, very specific rules because the argument is always loot boxes is gambling. And the AG, despite having a tough road ahead of them of winning the case, proving the case, etc., it's still now going to create this very huge laser focus on what is the value that these games are effectively prescribing to these skins? Are these games even not directly putting value to these different skins? Are they teaching children to gamble? And I think that is going to be the biggest thing that gets kind of litigated here is, are we teaching our young children to gamble? And do juries, have an issue with that? And in a country that does have a lot of morality and a lot of things around, children and gambling and all these different things, I could see them having the AG having a pretty good case here, and I could see this becoming a very laser-focused thing. I think whatever happens with this case is going to impact gaming for a long time, and I could see a lot of other cases, even if the AG loses this one, sprouting up, just with a different kind of angle, different narrative, etc., to kind of overcome the precedent that would be set by this ruling. But I think this is probably the biggest deal ever when it comes to gaming.
Wow. We've been seeing a lot of this in the EU. First time that it's really taken hold here in the States. Jerry, big deal, little deal, no deal?
I think it's a big deal, and maybe for different reasons than what Michael's saying. Like, what else is teaching kids to bet, right? FanDuel and like DraftKings and everything being on like every NFL game and every NBA game, right? So I think this is just a really slippery slope for, to go to litigation. And I would hope that Valve actually does fight this kind of hard, because like, dude, every like Gen Z, Gen Alpha influencer you see is also throwing like a rain bet commercial, like mid Instagram reel or mid TikTok right now, right? So like, there's so many things teaching kids to gamble right now that I think dying on the hill of, Counter-Strike and Valve being the thing that's causing kids to learn how to gamble is kind of nuts, right? Like, there's so many things in the world that are just in the zeitgeist right now that are pseudo forms of gambling, like in the same vein, right? Like, everybody in the world is opening up Pokemon packs right now, right? Everybody in the world is opening up One Piece packs. And how are those any different? Dub is the only person in the world that we know still opening Yu-Gi-Oh packs, right? So like, how are things like this also not forms of gambling? And then do those come under the microscope at some point? And, I would hate to see that. So, I think, we're all in the games industry, right? We want to see Valve kind of win this thing if it goes to that. But, I think to have a lawsuit over Counter-Strike skins, you open up this world of like, well, what is and what isn't gambling at this point, and what is and what isn't a loot box, right? Because you don't really get your ROI on Pokemon packs, right? But I don't want to see those go anywhere. So yeah, I just think this is kind of a really slippery slope.
I just want to add the legal nuance to what Jerry's saying. The difference between like FanDuel, because you're 100% right that 100% is teaching kids to gamble. You can't actually access it unless you're 21. You know what I mean? So that is the legal nuance difference. Is kids are playing these games and they are like performing an act that could be looked at as gambling. Whereas, yes, I see it on TV. Yes, it's all around me. Yes, it's everywhere. But technically, I'm not allowed to do it yet.
It's true. And you can't open up Pokemon packs as a kid because you're not a 45-year-old man with no job to be at Target at 6 in the morning.
Knock him, go to you then, Koji.
Yeah, there's an important piece, I think, of nuance and something that has changed here that we should mention, and it's the fact that Valve recently made a land grab against everybody else who was running secondary marketplaces or loot boxes for Counter-Strike. And the difference between Valve and the situation with Counter-Strike and a Pokemon or a Bandai Namco and One Piece is that Bandai Namco and the Pokemon Company are not facilitating the secondary market. To go a step further, they're not putting a clamp on anybody else who would like to facilitate the secondary market. There's no coincidence here that this comes down shortly after Valve makes a massive land grab to stop other people from being able to do this sort of thing. I think what we see in the EU is maybe a little overbearing, but I think that there's something to be said for, we probably should protect children from things like gambling. And I think something like a loot box doesn't need to be age gated necessarily. It doesn't need to be classified as a pure game of chance because you are getting something out of the purchase, but you probably should have an easier way to access the drop rates of a particular item, or at least understand what is actually within those packs. I think the problem with Valve is that they own the secondary market. They've completely cornered it, and they're selling you the products that you're going to go then and speculate and trade on that secondary market. I think it creates a dangerous precedent, especially when it's really difficult to find drop rates on those cases in game.
Well, I think it's a great point, Knock, but I think what that will do, if you just preclude people from being able to participate in the loot boxes, you're just pushing them into the secondary market where they're just having to pay inflated rates for things, right? And that's what people will do. Like in the real world, what somebody's going to do is just get their dad's credit card and their dad to age verify their account, and they're just going to go buy it they're still just going to buy the loot box, or if they want to being like within the law, they're just going to have to go buy off the secondary market for like $1,000 or whatever, which like I think sucks worse. I don't know. I mean, they both kind of suck, right? Like you're either gambling on the loot box or you're going and paying like an inflated price.
I think,
but
the key difference there though is like, hey, I've got $1,000, and I can open $1,000 of loot boxes. I could get anything, even the thing I want, or I can go and buy the thing I want. And I think that that's the argument that'll be made, right? There's a saying in the Pokemon hobby where if you want a card, you should always buy that card. For the love of God, do not go and buy packs and try and pull that card, because you're going to spend 3 or 4 or 10x the amount of money on that particular card. For me, it's something that should be regulated. I think that there's a really strong case that we should protect children. That seems to be a weird thing that a lot of American businesses don't seem to love, but I think it's something that should be true, but it can come through the form of increased knowledge or more information parity when it comes to things like drop rates and costs and likelihood of pulling items, not this closed ecosystem that Valve controls the distribution of the product, they control the secondary market of that product, and they control the drop rates of that product. It's gambling.
Oh, G, you're up.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. So I think that there's some distinctions to be made here. As somebody who operates a card game, right? Like the what makes it, partially anyway, what makes it not gambling is you can say that they have control over the secondary market, but they don't really. They're not setting the prices, and because they're not selling the skins individually at a price, they don't actually have a price, and so that in itself, like the consumer is deciding the cost of the skin, not the company, and so it doesn't have a value when it's given to a player. And I think that, like, yes, we should protect kids, but at the same time that we're like, we should strip this out of gaming. You know, we have like poly market odds at awards shows and real-time sports wagering like breakdowns during the halftime of like football games and stuff. And we're like, no, but the kids though, it's like as if the kids are not watching award shows or sports or anything like that. It's just gaming that matters. I think that it's a bit crazy to make the argument that this is the straw that broke the camel's back.
It is kind of reminiscent of, watching Terminator and then going and playing a violent video game. And they're like, the violent video game is going to ruin them. But watching Terminator was totally fine. And the disparity between those two things and how we treat them culturally. Peyton, over to you.
Yeah, I was just going to comment on Nock's point in terms of like a parent stuff. I have 4 kids, which I know is a lot for our generation. But like, I would say that, you know, when it comes down to it, I also have a responsibility as a parent to be able to protect my kids. And that's also part of the reason why I don't let them on Roblox. It's part of the reasons why there is also age gaps to be able to play CSGO, right? There is rated mature and stuff like that. And so one of those things that I don't like too is like step up as a parent. if I'm also like kind of calling out some stuff, is like, I don't let my kids have a smartphone because I know how bad it can be. Right. So there's like a lot of that. But I also do agree with Nock to some certain points, is that not everyone is probably going to have as much oversight for my kids, you know, for others, and, you know, for kids that are not as fortunate to be able to have like a dual family home and all that stuff too. So like that to me, like, I also feel as if like what Tad had said about people coming in and they can watch it, but they can't actually activate. There also is gates on like probably rated mature games, prediction markets, and all that stuff. And so I do agree to have that age gap pretty hard. So just wanted to add that from a parent perspective.
Yeah, good to get that perspective. Let's go over to Nock one more time, then we'll tag in Oliver.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, listen, if your business model is, no, we can't tell people the odds of the things that they might be pulling from our loot box or our entire business fails, you're probably not a good person, one, and two, your business isn't standing on solid ground. I think you should have access to that sort of thing. And you're starting to see this now a little bit more with things like Pokemon TCG and One Piece TCG, where you're having these sort of unofficial, official drop rates or hit rates of a particular tier of card start to get populated by the community and then propagated by the Pokemon Company and by Bandai Namco. I think that in TCG, it's maybe a little bit different, but in the case of a loot box like CS, all it would take is, you know, you've got a 0.001% chance of pulling the legendary knife instead of the current in-game status, which is the exceedingly rare. That means something different to every single person on this panel. It means something different to every single person who's going to open that loot box. I think that that's where the danger comes into this place. It also is incredibly dangerous that they're telling you that, hey, this is the thing that you want to pull because it's rare and there might be some financial benefit. I think that there is nuance here. Loot boxes are not bad because they are loot boxes. Loot boxes are bad because of shady mechanics that are introduced into them. All we're asking for is a little information parity, and I think it puts it in a better spot.
Oliver, you've been working with a marketplace for a few years now. I'm curious how you feel about this. And do you actually think that going from exceedingly rare to saying 0.001 would actually change people's behavior that much at the end of the day?
I don't think it necessarily changes behavior, but it at least states very clearly what the odds are, and that helps the end consumer understand what those odds are. And I think the thing that you're actually combating with this, very similar to actually like online gambling, and you look at like some of the things that have been accused of, like, call it a stake or things like that, where Drake and Aiden Ross have been accused of having higher odds to win big wins on stake, and stake doesn't release their odds necessarily in that capacity. And so there is this shady side to Nock's point that I think you're encountering here. And the problem that and why I'm comparing the two actually here in this case is that you have CSGO, one of the more streamed games out there. People literally for hours on end just binge the people opening these boxes or these the crates, and they see their favorite person or their streamer hit $1,000 knife or a $10,000 knife, and they think because they saw that one clip that they will do the exact same thing. And so then that is materially where this comes in. And so when you see the odds stated, that removes some of that I think risk to the end consumer, and you get into a better spot. And so I would just say that I think overall with CSGO, I don't think loot boxes are bad. I actually think in most capacities in any world function or form, you have packs in Pokemon, and you have, prediction markets, and you have all of these things that people can do in the world. And that is totally okay. But I do think that it is in the best interest of the end user and consumer to at least explicitly state some of the risks that are involved in this, so that they are at least made aware of this. And I think that's the issue that you're running into. And the only other thing that I would just say is, because it is like closed gated, like the marketplace of Valve, you actually are having these like third-party marketplaces that are selling in crypto CSGO skins and transfers in and out. And that actually gets into more dangerous territory as well. And so I think those two things play a point that a lot of other, the other economic kind of game loops and TCGs and other companies and I guess categories out there don't necessarily always have.
Peyton, I saw you have a big reaction.
You guys are living in a fantasy land. I got to interrupt. You guys are living in a fantasy land thinking that this matters. If you posted the odds as like getting this knife is 1 billion to 1, all that would do, the people who are doing this are like way too stupid to realize that matters. They would just watch one of their favorite streamers. Hold on. Open 1 billion to 1 knife and be like, holy shit, they did it. That was the greatest moment ever. I need to recreate that. And then just like buy 1 billion cases to try and get that knife. Like that's all that would happen. All you're doing is just amping up the excitement, not being like, oh.
Yeah, but it's not about changing consumer behavior, right? It's about getting the target off the backs of Valve and Counter-Strike. And the reason why this has gone to the AG is because everything is obfuscated away. So if you share that information, the case against Valve is smaller. We
should put the onus on the morons. Is what you're saying.
This is a cataclysmic level event for the gaming industry. If the AG in New York wins this, you're going to see loot boxes in every game move out of the ecosystem, and you're going to see revenues drop. I think the idea here is, if the trade-off is everybody gets to have loot boxes, but you have to give some information on what is in those loot boxes and the odds to pull them, or Valve loses this argument and nobody gets loot boxes ever again, I think we can all agree that every once in a while, it's a ton of fun to spend a bunch of money on loot boxes, because you're human beings with prefrontal cortexes that actually work and function, and you understand that you are gambling. But I think the idea that you are at least informing the consumer of this risk will at least get the target off the backs of Valve. Valve is not a game studio that is delivered us CSGO. Valve is a proxy here for the industry. They lose this, I think the industry's in trouble.
Great note to end it on. Let's move on to UGC platforms in gaming. Where does it go from here? The game mode is finished this sentence in 5 years. Gaming UGC will be blank. Everyone, I need you to finish the sentence. No hedging, no it depends. I would like you to take a firm stance. Written UGC had its moment. Video and YouTube had its moment with TikTok and Instagram, photos had its moment with Instagram. Every major media format eventually got democratized by user-generated content. Gaming might be next. Roblox already has 88 million daily active users and represents 67% of all net growth in gaming since 2019. outside of China, that is. But here's the counter. Nobody watched YouTube because they gave up on Hollywood. They watched it alongside it. Will gaming and UGC become a dominant force, or will people eventually migrate back to the higher quality studio-produced stuff, especially with the AI slop, dead internet theory upon us? Finish his sentence. In 5 years, gaming UGC will be Michael Christine.
Sorry, ask the question one more time.
In 5 years, gaming UGC will be
the epitome of gaming. Just like after 5 years YouTube launched, everybody started watching YouTube videos or the news and things like that. It'll be the new standard for gaming easily. With the AI tools coming out, what I'm seeing with like the seed dances of the world, how video creation is going, and how that is starting to expand in actual like physical physics, game physics, etc. I think it's going to be what everybody's doing. I think basically gaming is going to become like YouTube. Everybody's going to be able to post. Soon we're going to have a gaming TikTok shout out remix, but I think it's going to be everything. I think everything that we know about traditional gaming is going to come to an end, just because if I don't have to spend $1 million on these animators or this making these blueprints or developers to do XYZ, I'm going to do that every day. And I think it's going to democratize so much, and we're going to see a high school kid make, tens of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars just from a UGC created game.
Peyton, over to you.
I think my word is like dominant. I think when it comes down to UGC, especially Roblox, there's going to be this generation that's growing up. I think a lot of the games that are releasing now would have like really dominated the gaming culture that it is today. But now there's like so much other things that like are pulling us in different directions, right? And I think Roblox and all these UGC platforms have a captive audience, and they're really good at keeping that audience. And so they kind of rolled it up. And so Roblox even had a different types of like age demographic in terms of chat function of like 13 to 16-year-olds, 16 to like 19-year-olds and all that kind of stuff. And so they're just really good at keeping them within the ecosystem. And I think like even the slide that's saying here is like there's going to be games that are they're not games that like have like win, kill, shoot, defeat, which are the current objectives that like we grew up playing. And there's more share, create, express. And I think that as a younger kids, that's what a lot of it likes. But I think as they age, a lot of the game developers will also age with Roblox and create those type of games and get inspiration for it. And I think in the world of AI too, like who has the most assets to train models? It's UGC platforms. And so I think UGC also is a compounding effect of being able to train models to make them better for it, right? Like Michael said a lot of it in terms of like Seed Dance 2. Why is it that like Tom Cruise and all of these IPs are really great? It's because they have a lot of data to train those models on. I think the same thing's going to happen with Roblox. It has a very distinct style. Fortnite's going to be the same thing in terms of the epic user-generated content for Fortnite. The discoverability and the advertisement too within Roblox keeps everybody in the Roblox ecosystem. So it's freaking nuts. And as soon as Fortnite solves the discovery issue within Fortnite, that also is going to be a dominant force for them to kind of keep them in the ecosystem and surface things, just like how the YouTube algorithms, TikTok algorithms, they've all matured over the years. Same thing's going to happen with these UGC platforms. They are going to have better algorithms as they grow up, also have better developers because the models are being trained off of UGC assets.
Koji, I see this comp to video and photo and written content and how UGC took those over a lot. But at the end of the day, there does feel like there's something fundamentally different consuming a video or a blog post or a photo versus like having to physically engage with a game. Do we think that UGC is scalable the same way, or are they just too different to really be able to use the same mental model for it?
Well, I'm actually going the other way. I think UGC is going to be non-existent, and the reason for that is like what we look at as UGC now. Like it's literally user-generated content. So like the person has to be the user, but the person by that time is going to be the dev. Like the reason why making things in Roblox or Fortnite or Little Big Planet or whatever is so popular is because players, to make a game now, you need skill. You need time, you need ideas, right? Like those platforms provide the guardrail so that it cuts down on the skill and time needed, and all you need is ideas. But with AI, you're not going to need any of that. You don't need those guardrails because you can create your own, right? So like it'll cut down. All you need is the idea, and you need almost no time and almost no skill to do it. And so I think that like it's not going to be user generated content. It's going to be user generated gaming, man. And it's not going to exist in Roblox or Fortnite. It's going to exist, you know, in the fucking friend slop library that Jerry and I are going to put out there and sell monthly passes for.
Interesting. In that world, how do you think people will get their game discovered? Because I think a lot of the reason that Roblox serves their purpose is because where do I release a game for anybody to play it? I'm not a marketing person.
Let me ask you a question. Like, does Spotify help you make music?
No.
No, but you can discover music on there, right? Like, I don't think you need Roblox to help people find your game. Like, you can do it on Steam, you can do it on whatever. Maybe there'll be another platform that, you know, whether it be Remix or whoever, somebody will take this thing over and be like, no, we're the AI kings of gaming, and this is where you come to find the games that people build. Like, I don't think it because the inherent problem with things like with Roblox and whatever is they do have limitations. Whereas, like, if you're going to vibe code your own game, there are zero limitations, so you can do anything you want. You're not stuck with what their engine provides you. Anyway,
Peyton, I know you had a quick rebuttal, then I'll go to Oliver.
Mostly, it was something that you already brought up, right? Is like I think a lot of these UGC platforms become the publishing, right? And YouTube, TikTok, any of these ones have also taken power away from us over time because they have a huge grasp over us. YouTube now like only serves your content to like only 5% of the audience that you have gotten from like a subscriber point of view. And so for me, I think when it comes down to it, that is how people are going to get discovered. Like Roblox, Unreal Engine, Fortnite, Unreal Engine, even Unity are going to be publishers of this type of content for discoverability. And I think it's going to be extremely hard for people to make a game and for it to be seen, unless that is somehow redistributed in a lot of ways. But Steam is kind of the only outlet for people that are kind of self-publishing and being able to publish theirs, or Epic Game Store, which isn't as near as big as Steam. So, you know, a lot of people like talk about like with Remix of what you guys are doing too. And I think there's going to be a winner in the AI world as well too. But I think that these giants are already know, and they're very smart, and they're going to be the main publishers. They are going to be the YouTube of gaming in the next like 5-6 years.
Oliver, over to you. In 5 years, UGC will be blank.
Monopolized. It's already there, but I think it's just going to be more. We just discussed the distribution layer here. I think Fortnite and Roblox and Minecraft and these games just have a stranglehold on the games industry right now across the segment of 6 to 15-year-old kids, and all the streamers and all the successful ones that are driving a ton of traffic and referral money and engagement all work with these 3 games. There's a few others, of course, but I think there's really 3 that we kind of sit here and think about mostly. And so I would say that as kind of my main word. And the other thing that we have to consider here is that, yes, you can make a game in any way, shape, or form with AI. Absolutely. I have no doubts about that. And there's probably going to be some successful ones that land on Steam or land somewhere else. But I think the majority of people want to be able to jump into a game where they know some of the mechanics and some of the items and some of the things, and they're comfortable with it. Like, gamers are inherently people that like love what they love and they stick to it to some degree. Yes, I know that there are breakout campaigns in games, but over the course of the last 10 years, how many games have lived in that top 5 chart for more than 3 months, 6 months, a year? There's only a few. And it's basically the games that we just referenced. And a lot of the reason why that is because you have player bases that know what they need to do, know how to work the system, know how to build the games inside of these arenas that they give you. And so I think all of that adds up to monopolization and just more compact nature to this. And I think they will create more, to like Peyton's point. Like, they're going to just continue to leverage AI further and further and further, just like everybody else is. But they already have the flywheel of the player base and the users and the devs. And as long as they tee this up in the right way, they're set up for success for a long time.
Michael, Christine.
Oliver, I don't think you're wrong if we're thinking in today's terms, but I think you're wrong to think that the only UGC distribution platforms in the next 4 or 5 years are only going to be Roblox and Fortnite. And the reason I say this is just to reference one company. There's one company called App Charge or something like that just raised $58 million to put games directly into messaging apps. So what they're saying is basically the biggest distribution channel of the 2010s was apps in the App Store. And so they think the big bet right now is the next big distribution isn't actually going to be through these like established companies. They're going to actually be through messaging apps, because a lot of people do like to play games in messaging apps. And as phones get better in terms of the technology and what they can run, if I can run like a full game on my phone, and I'm sub 20-year-old who all I do is just use my phone for everything. I don't actually use games. I don't actually go on the computer. I don't actually go on like even a console. I do kind of agree with this big bet that's being taken on like games going towards messaging, app stores starting to lose some of their dominance just for gaming, and these distribution channels starting to change. So to think that we've already seen what the distribution is going to be is crazy. I think we have to think of what's coming in the future to really understand that. And I don't think it's going to be pigeonholed to two companies.
How much was that again? No, you said 58 million?
I think it was $58 million they raised in the last 3 months.
Disney invested like 1.5 billion into Epic Games, right? And like Disney has every IP imaginable that a lot of kids are attracted to.
Yeah, because Disney's track record over the last 10 years in how they've done their big IPs is really stellar, and they've made a lot of incredible decisions over the last 10 years.
Don't call it a comeback.
And look, I love the optimism of this approach, and I think everybody has this like optimistic lens on how things are going to go here. But we haven't been proven wrong over the last 5 years. Like there is really no games that I can consider in that top 5 chart that have really moved the needle exponentially compared to the ones that we just discussed.
Generational changes.
Oliver, I think that's an old mindset. I think the problem is that like we don't look at gaming as disposable. We're like, you put up a game and it's got to be the king of the hill for the next 5 years, or like some legacy thing that people play forever, like all the games that we love because that's how we grew up. But I think in a world where anyone can create a game, you know, these experiences, like if you sell like 1 million copies of a thing for $5 and then do it again the next week and then do it again the next week with different games, the money pile is still the same, and the amount of work isn't that much more if you're just like vibe coding the slop or whatever, right? So like I think that like the way that people ingest these things are just like solely going to change in the same way that like when I grew up, I had 5 CDs in my car and I knew every song off all of those albums by heart. And now people are like, this album's my favorite, and I'm like, oh yeah, like what songs do you like? And they name 2 of the songs off the album, and then they're on to the next record. Like that's how people are going to consume games too.
I think there's one thing that there's 2 directions this could go. And I think we could all acknowledge that. This could be Twitch of like 2020, or this could be YouTube of like 2020. YouTube has done like considerably better than Twitch. And Twitch had like a very big stronghold on live streaming, and they lost it to a number of players, including YouTube, by the way, but YouTube's kind of scaled back a little bit. And part of that was that Twitch wasn't willing to put more money in because they were losing money. I don't think that's the case with these companies, though. They're not losing money, and they can just put more fuel to the fire. And so I want to think optimistically here, but just transparently, they have more. They are printing. And it's in a company like that, you don't need to steer the Titanic 90 degrees. You got to move 1 or 2 degrees every couple of months, every couple of years, and you will still own the 95% pie. And again, I'd love to think optimistically. I don't think that's the case here.
Show me the incentive and I will show you the outcome. And the outcome is every major game studio on the planet is scrambling over themselves to try and deliver a live service title because they're scared shitless of Fortnite. Right? Sony announces 12 titles going live service in an 18-month window. Why? Is it because they believe live service titles is the next big thing? No, they believe that time will become more monopolized. I think what you're going to have is somebody like a Fortnite is going to deliver better and better tools and better distribution models so that exactly what Koji just described will absolutely play out. The only difference is now every time I go to play a game, I don't have to relearn the mechanics and understand what's going on in the space. I have the base mechanics down, and I'm getting a slightly different experience in 1,000 different scenarios, all in the Fortnite game. It's the only thing I need. Fortnite has the gaming industry fucked up to the point that they are all chasing some live service ghost so that they can build the next 10-year title. I think the idea is Fortnite blew up because introduce a novel mechanic, and it's going to stay king of the hill because it is understood that the next big phase of gaming is UGC and allowing for these things. There's no reason why these creator tools can't be implemented into a Fortnite. If anything, you probably see them acquire a bunch of gaming AI related gaming studios and tools to allow people to build better products within Fortnite.
This is my mic. It's dropping.
We move on that note, but Pokemon Winds and Waves, the Gen 10 is revealed on the 30th anniversary of the game mode. Here is what's the word. Pokemon Day just happened, and I guess they didn't hold back by Pokemon standards. Switch 2 exclusive 2027 global release. People seem pretty optimistic about how it looks so far. Set in a tropical Southeast Asian-inspired archipelago. 3 new starters: Brout the grass bird, Pombon the fire dog, and Gekka the water gecko. And for the first time ever in a main Pokemon game, underwater exploration. Oh my God, nobody's ever done it before. How did they come up with this idea? Visually, people are pretty excited, but otherwise, people are still pretty upset. Fire Red and Leaf Green dropping the same week, $20 each, no home compatibility, no cartridge, not included in the subscription. It's really Nintendo giveth, Nintendo taketh away, but the giveth is in 2027. What's the word for their announcements for the 30th anniversary? Let's go to Jerry first.
Yeah, Knock, just keep your mic muted, baby. This is awesome. I love it, dude. I'm all in. I've just become such a stan. This panel has made me just like, I had a more optimistic take about UGC in games that these guys yapped, and I didn't, I felt like it was time to move on, that I held on to. But I think what Pokemon is doing, like we talked a lot about staying power. We talked a lot about like legacy IP, and we talked a lot about UGC and all this bullshit. And just thank God there's a company out there who just is like, we're just going to do shit the way we want to do. We're going to give you guys functionally the same game every time. And you know what? We will all buy it. We'll all buy both versions. We're all going to buy the new one because we're all going to need to play Pombon. Fucking Knock will probably choose the Leaf one. And then we'll go play the remakes, dude. I'm all in on what Pokemon's doing. I think they have showed like they are the legacy of legacy IPs in games. And dude, Pokemon is just everywhere right now, and I'm all in on it, man. I think it's great, and I'm stoked that Pokemon is like still everything they announce is just like received so well. And yeah, I mean, everybody will go buy their Switch 2s now that they said they wouldn't buy 6 months ago.
Koji, you say you've never played a Pokemon game in your life. Is this going to break the streak?
No, absolutely not. I like my JRPGs classic, but my word for this topic is dogfighting. Everyone's worried about teaching their kids about gambling and how gaming and gambling is ruining kids. But what about Pokemon teaching their kids to get animals to fight each other? You know what I mean? Not a good example at all. But honestly, I think these games, like, I don't know, everyone has such high hopes for every Pokemon game, and I find them all to be so repetitious and boring. Like, yeah, maybe the first one was innovative. It's like, cool. Okay, there's an enemy.
Go underwater now, Koji. We can go underwater.
No, hold on, dude. You're still playing Binding of Isaac. What are you talking about? Yeah. That's the most repetition and most boring. You're like the fan of roguelikes.
Hold on. If you were still playing the original Pokemon, I'd be like, okay, that I get. But just giving me the same game over and over again and forcing me to pay for it makes no sense.
It's not about the game. It's not about the game. It's about the new Pokemon. It's about the new world.
Oh, my God. Same as the old world, man. Like, all you want is just like a different picture. You're like, oh, this one has hair that goes this way. That's so cool. What a great game. It's like such a fucking small brain fucking, I don't know. The Pokemon is just
people who play roguelikes have no legs to stand on with this argument, because not only is it the same picture, it's the same everything. It's the same level. It's the same, I get to choose 3 of my hand rolls in Balatro or whatever. And it's like, it's the same thing over and over. This is no different. It just looks a little bit different, and there's new characters in it.
But there's only one Balatro. This is fucking the 400th variation of Pokemon.
No,
There's one
okay, I
Balatro,
gotta
then
say
there's
it.
one Hades, and there's one Binding of
Yeah.
Isaac.
I have to say it. You can't nitpick on Pokemon while continuing to eat the dog food that is Zelda, Super Mario, Donkey Kong, Kirby every single year for the last 50 years. Right? Here's the issue. The real issue with this is that Nintendo and the consumers that enjoy Nintendo products, myself included, are lazy and will not push for innovation to the point where Nintendo can now sell you a $20 port of a game that released 20 years ago and then say, hey, you can play it on Switch or Switch 2. So already you need a $500-$600 console to be able to play this title. Oh, by the way, it's not going to connect to any of the modern Pokemon facilities like Pokemon Home or Pokemon Connect or any of the other things that you can do, which is just stupidity. And the thing is, people like myself have logged 20 hours already in this fucking game since it came out in February 27th. And a bunch of people will continue to purchase the game because we're addicted to the slop that Nintendo feeds us. But I want to make it clear, my stance has never changed. It is slop. Nintendo recycles the same 4 or 5 IP 5 times a year, every year for the last 50 years, and people can continue to buy it. Now, occasionally you have some pushback, like on Pokemon ZA. That game did flop, and it seems like they've rectified some of the issues, at least from like a performance perspective, with this new game, allegedly. But the point of the matter holds true. Koji is right. They deliver you the same thing every single year, 50 years in a row. I'm going to continue to buy the thing. I'm going to continue to play the thing. I'm going to continue to complain about purchasing and playing the thing, but that's Nintendo. This is who they are. We should not expect any different from them at this point.
I want to hear from Peyton. Peyton, you got 4 kids. Are you going to raise them on this Nintendo slop? What's the word?
Dude, it is crazy, dude. I went to Chick-fil-A the other day, right? And these kids plopped a binder down on the stuff. Jackson has never played Pokemon, never watched a show, nothing, right? And he knows who Pikachu is. He knows who Charizard is. And it is everywhere. Like, you go to Target, Sonic, Pokemon, not Yu-Gi-Oh! That's for sure. But everything else, right?
Yeah,
in terms of that,
get packs.
yeah, that's why it's not sold out. But like, it is amazing how crazy, like backpacks, all that stuff. Like, kids, like, they appropriate so freaking early. It's crazy. Like, Jackson has never watched Sonic, would not stop bothering me until I finally folded and said, fine, you can watch Sonic. And then from there, they want all the action figures. And that's what happens with Pokemon. They have so much, like Oliver's last point, they have so much money they can spend on freaking backpacks in Target and all of the distribution. Like, and no one talks about that. If they're starting them at freaking 5 years old. My daughter, talking about Disney, knows Elsa. Michael, I'm going to tell you right now, they haven't like watched the movies, all the cultural appropriation, all that stuff. She doesn't care. She just thinks that Elsa is a badass because she does ice stuff. And that's all that work. That's all that happens. And I'm telling you right now, the monopoly continues. And like, these IPs are going to dominate for a long time. That's all I got to say, Sam.
Oliver, over to you, brother. What's the word?
I think it's funny where like, this game, it's like a reskin, like, but you realize like the entire games industry is basically like this. Like, every good game, I've kind of ranted on this already, but like COD, basically they like bring back the old games. They bring back the old maps. They bring back the old weapons. Sports games, phenomenal example here. FIFA 23 to FIFA 24 to FIFA 25. Hey, they could change the name to FC 26. And guess what? It's the same game. It's at the heart of it. It is identical. But you know what players do? They go to the store. They pre-order it. They buy it. They buy their Ultimate Team packs. They spend money. And guess what? It makes the game studios more and more and more wealthy. And guess what they get to do with that? They get to put more fuel on the fire by spending more on advertising and branching out. And that's, Pokemon had this resurgence. And now at this point, Pokemon, to Peyton's point, everyone else here, it's everywhere. You can't stop it. There's no stopping this train. And it doesn't matter how much negativity is going to go towards this game. It will be successful. It will be good. People will be hyped about it. And candidly, they got a year runway to make this even bigger. I wouldn't be shocked if you see Pokemon at the Super Bowl and you see Pokemon on every fast food restaurant imaginable will have their own Pokemon pack. Like, they are going to juice the heck out of this, just like they do everything else that they do. And guess what? Good on them. Like that is, I'm not trying to be negative here. This is just the reality. And until something drastically changes, it's just what it is.
You're like my dad telling me I'm never going to go to the NBA.
I just miss like the difference between StarCraft 1 and StarCraft 2 were like worlds apart. They were both real-time strategy games. The same three races were there, but they were completely different games fundamentally in almost every single way except for the core mechanics. Same thing if you look at like Warcraft 2 and then Warcraft 3 and obviously World of Warcraft. Like all of these are insanely different experiences. And so the opposite is also possible. Like just because, yes, you can print money with Madden, like why not release Madden fucking experiment edition or something? And it's just them trying cool shit. Like there's no reason why they can't also try interesting things with their infinite.
I agree.
Yeah, I think it's a function of like just how big the games industry has gotten. You know, you can't take risks anymore, right? Because risks are, you know, it's potential to lose a lot of money. And it's like, it's sad, right? Because like they're talking about like NFL Blitz and like, what was the MLB game where you could like punch the first baseman as you were like about to get like a bang bang play? Yeah.
2003, dude. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I know. But you could still take risks then, right? Whereas like right now, everybody's so concerned about share price and stock price and being the next Concord or whatever that nobody wants to take risk, right? So it's safe to do now, which is sad. You know, I don't love that like, that's the state of gaming in 2026, right? Is like taking risks in, you know, the area where we should be taking the most amount of risk for games, because that's where innovation comes from. You know, it's sad that we're here, but that's just the reality of the games industry right now, which sucks. I'm with you, Sam.
Go to Michael.
If you're in their shoes, though, you have to put this in perspective. You can't risk this. One mistake, and they are like you can royally screw up everything thereafter. Like they have to kind of not bat 1,000 because that would be them actually taking the risk and going all the way, but they have to bat like 300 and just make sure that they're hitting somewhere in that happy medium where people are still buying it. Yeah. People are still at least semi-satisfied and they're going to come back for more later on. Like Jerry makes a really good point. It's risk. It's risk. Yeah. It's all about risk.
The studios are just so bloated now, right? That's why, you know, the big studios are never going to do something like what was the golf game you guys are playing, like Super Demo Golf or whatever. So like, you know, there's still innovation and there's still cool shit happening. It's happening at the really small publisher and small like development level.
There's another thing that's true in technology companies, though, that usually goes something along the lines of if you don't cannibalize your own company, somebody else will. And I think that that's what these people are setting themselves up for. It might not be today, it might not be 5 years from now, but at some point, somebody is going to innovate and they're going to pay more for the license. They're going to do whatever they have to do. And then they're going to get knocked off. And they're going to be like, what the fuck happened? And the share price is going to dip by 40%. They're going to be like, who could have foreseen this coming? That people didn't want to buy the 44th iteration of FIFA soccer. And it's like, why not take a little bit of the risk yourself? Market it 10% as much. Only the diehards will play it, but you're servicing both sides. I don't think they're mutually exclusive, but maybe I'm wrong. Michael, over to you.
Yeah, so Sam, I really liked your point before, how you were like from this game 1 to this game 2, we saw this revolutionary change. But I do have to bring up the point that during that time frame, we were also seeing revolutionary changes in technology that allowed for these revolutionary changes from version 1 to version 2 that we're not seeing right now. Because yes, don't get me wrong, we might be in the most revolutionary technology moment ever, but it's different. It's very, very different than what it was, 20 years ago. And to some people's point, I think it was Knock being like, oh, you're going to keep rebuying the same game. Well, the last time they released new starter Pokemon was in like 2021 or 2022. What you're not realizing is they're not making games for 30-year-old, 40-year-old men. They're making games for new people who are born every single day who maybe never experienced Pokemon or have no idea what a Charizard is because it was so long ago. Not Charizard because it's one of the most famous ones, but I think you get my point. It's not meant for you. It's meant for new players, and it's meant to bring in new players in and then also stoke the base of players who just will always love Pokemon no matter what they produce. So they're not banking on being like, oh, we're going to iterate for this person who's played all of our games. That person's going to always play. They're iterating for the new generation that has never played, and they just need to bring in new people.
Knock, over to you.
Yeah, here's the capitalist bringing this back to capitalism. The problem here is so many of these studios have gone public, right? And when you're an executive in a public company, your decision-making process isn't made over the course of months or years or decades. Your decision-making is quarter by quarter. And if you cannot show an increase in your quarterly revenue or your quarterly projections, or you can't project out 2 or 3 quarters and say, hey, in this next little period of time, we are going to drive XYZ amount of increase of revenue, then you're out. So you have decision makers at the very tops of these companies making decisions from a point of scarcity, right? It is, if I do not do something safe, if I do not bring in the revenue, I am out. So from the perspective of an executive at a public gaming company, it is better to take 10 swings at a live service title, miss on 9 of them and hit on 1 than it is to ever deliver anything from a single player instance, because the upside for a live service title on the scale of a Fortnite or a League of Legends or a RuneScape is so much significantly larger. It's so much larger than any single player title will ever be. So you're taking risks and you're taking these swings like a venture capitalist, not like a game studio.
Is there a Pokemon live service game?
Now there will be with
Unite.
Pokemon Unite, and then there's Pokemon Champions, which is their answer to things like Pokemon Showdown, which is Pokemon Home will feed all the Pokemon you've caught through all the generations into Champions. Champions is effectively a specific battle-only live service player v player tournament style system.
Unite's actually probably the biggest risk they've ever taken with that franchise. Let's go over to Koji.
Yeah, counterpoint to that, Knock, though, is like with the advent of AI gaming tools, you know, like let's say in the next couple of years, that risk is going to be significantly less for them to create those non-live service, like operating a live service will become more expensive than actually just like throwing out like 20 different titles that they might hit and sell millions of copies on. I also think that like this argument of there's a whole generation of kids that doesn't know this stuff. Like I know what you're saying, but this to Knock's point, this is just capitalism. This is the free hand of the market, just like doing its bullshit, because it's not like those things don't already exist, right? Like when people are like, oh, kids these days don't know movie XYZ, it's like, or game XYZ, like they could. Those games still exist. You can play them if you want, right? You don't need to be like, here's the same slop again, slightly different. Let me sell it to you. No, but you choose to, because we live in a world that it's basically hell. So like, just buy the same thing over and over again instead of keeping the thing you already have and experiencing again. Better yet, make it a subscription so that you just have to pay in perpetuity for the rest of your life.
Let me just jump really quick before Michael, because I know he's going to change the topic a little bit, but I just want to double tap on one thing here. Even in a world where AI makes it significantly easier for these studios to ship 20 at-bats a year, they're still not going to take that. Supercell with Clash Royale makes more money per year than all of the last 25 largest indie titles that have been delivered over the course of the last 2 years combined. Supercell is making more money than that with just Clash Royale, because there's an existing player base with the sunk cost fallacy that are willing to continue to spend money at basically zero marginal cost, right? They can sell you $100 million worth of skins for no money, versus even in a scenario where the cost is drastically reduced, you still have to spend man hours to ship that title to a level and a state that people will actually want to play it. So even in a world where AI drastically reduces the cost of getting these games to market, they're still only going to play the same games they've always played.
Go ahead, Michael.
Yeah, just to Koji's point, completely wrong. It's like you've never been around another human being before that's younger than you. In every single medium, TV, games, movies, once you talk to somebody who's used to a certain level of fidelity, graphics, whatever, they don't want to watch old things. I actually literally talked to somebody 2 days ago who watched a movie from the 1990s that was like, I almost didn't watch it because it looks so old and bad that I didn't want to watch it. And the same is said for 2000 movies, 2010 movies. We grew up, so we're nostalgic. We're used to it. Well, of course we're going to go play these old games, but the next generation is not going to do that. They look at even an anime like One Piece. People won't watch One Piece, which started in 1999, because the animation looks so old. But the animation in 2026 is like, top tier, top
That's
of the top.
because there's 1,800 episodes, though. I don't know.
No, but they're also saying but they don't watch old anime because it looks old. They don't watch old movies because they look old. They don't watch old TV shows. They don't play old games because to them it looks old. They don't want it. So when you say, oh, why are people buying this new stuff? Because they want new stuff. And that's just how I was when I was a kid, and I didn't want to watch my parents' 1980s stuff. my kids are probably going to be the same way that they don't want to watch my 2000 stuff. So it's the same thing.
This is a nonsense straw man argument you're making. Everyone who has kids is like, you're way off, brother, way off. And I'll tell you right now, man, my kid watches, like, she'll watch Singing in the Rain, she'll watch The Last Unicorn, which is a horribly animated movie from the 80s, just as much as she'll watch Frozen or whatever. She's watching this movie called Hundreds of Beavers, which is a black and white silent film where people dress up as animals, and it's like made for like $2. So like I don't think that's actually true. I think that like
I showed my nieces and nephews Pokemon original, and I showed them Pokemon like the one that came out like 2 years ago. Guess which one they love?
I'll give you
Not the original.
I'll give you a little hint here. Here's a list of the top 5 Pokemon as voted on by last year. They do this poll every year, so we don't need to argue about anecdotal.
But is it
evidence.
by age?
We don't need to argue by
age?
anecdotal evidence. We
Does
can
it
give you
does
the
it
actual
do it
evidence.
by age?
Yes, it does. It
Does
has
it do
age
it by
category.
age?
So your number 1 Pokemon across all age groups is Charizard. Your number 2 Pokemon by all age groups is Lucario, who's released in 2005. Your number 3 Pokemon by all age groups is Greninja. He was actually the number 1 Pokemon in 24 and 23, was released in 2010. Your number
That's
4
crazy.
Pokemon. This is actually shocked me. This is
Oh,
actually
wait,
shocked
you're
me. Number
saying all
4 is
age groups.
Chandelure.
But are you
Yeah.
saying all age groups voted on this?
So this
I
is
think he's saying that's telling you that's all ages, right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
there's different.
So I'm
generations,
saying
right?
if you're a generation this, you don't like older stuff. So once you get to a cutoff and you don't
It's
like to
just
watch
so
older
black
stuff.
and white, man. Like this is insane. This is an insane take. My kids play Fortnite and new games, but they watch Aladdin. Their favorite movie was Aladdin from like 1996. Why do they like it? Because they just like it. There's no like.
Was it introduced to you as their
buy
parent?
into this idea. This is insane.
Yes, as everything
Was
is
it-
introduced by other
Yeah.
people. You know
No,
what I mean?
that's not true because we live in a world of discovery. If they discover it
Oh
through you
my
guys as
gosh.
parents, that's a
Disney
thing.
Plus,
If they
dude,
saw
it's not
it, if
me.
they
I didn't
discovered
like
it on
Aladdin
their
growing
own,
up, bro.
Michael.
Like there's
Nah.
no what?
Hey, when this is posted on LinkedIn, I want everybody to chime in
All
on
right,
this
hold
because I
on.
think these
Like,
jokesters
he brought the
are
guns out. He only did
Let me
that
ask
to
you-
show
let me
he was
ask you a
buffer
real
than you
quick
guys.
question, though. I know it doesn't cost you any money to serve this discovery here. I know it doesn't cost them anything. But do you know why Disney Plus still rolls through like 101 Dalmatians and all these old
Yes,
films
because
on the
millennials
page
love it and they
of
want their
Disney
kids
Plus?
to watch it too.
Yeah,
But if the
okay,
kid had their
okay.
own choice and they were like,
yeah.
let me put this and
all
this
the
up,
all the
they're gonna
parents
choose
are
the new
really
one
like,
every time.
yeah, we're
Yeah,
digesting
dude.
the Disney Plus every day. Yeah.
Says the uncle. Says the uncle
Yes.
that put in like, don't you love this Pokemon that's high fidelity? Just like, dude, as like our parents, like we are with our kids, and like the argument that's saying that you can't like, people are going to like be impressed by like ads or whatever. It's like your parents are the highest influence for a long time, and so that argument of like not being introduced of like whatever, it's like I'm a millennial and guess what? They are watching 101 Dalmatians. They are playing Pokemon. It doesn't matter in terms of that stuff, but that is what is being impressed upon them because you're parents and like they watch Mr. Rogers. They do all these things that are low stimulus because my wife rather be Amish and she doesn't want to do like all that stuff. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's one of those things that's like, you know, I don't know. I think that like all the parents are kind of like a little bit of a pause on that take. But thank you, Unc. We appreciate you.
This was a great one. We delved into madness there for about 30 seconds and we made it out smooth. I'm going to move on to the last topic of the day. We're running out of time here as my camera died, apparently. I'll go ahead and introduce the topic, though, real quick. Last Flag, should celebrities be making games? Last Flag is free to play, 70s inspired, capture the flag, hero shooter, and it's made with Imagine Dragons. Bullish or bullshit on them being involved. It was sitting at 100,000 Steam wish list before Imagine Dragons got involved. Then the band dropped a trailer, and suddenly the scrappy indie was a massive celebrity spotlight where Tyler won and others were paying attention. The demo just wrapped up. The full launch is going to be April 14th. The game looks genuinely somewhat interesting, a little bit Fortnite inspired, but a little bit of a twist on Capture the Flag. Bullish or bullshit on celebrity involvement in games? Does this get you excited to try this new thing, or does it seem like it's an overreach from somebody? Let's go over to Koji first.
Totally bullish. Totally fucking bullish. Because the only way people buy shit anymore is if they have some sort of stake in it. Like we were talking about how IP is everything. You know, Oliver made the point that people are just going to buy FIFA year after year after year, even though it's the same dog shit that they just keep slopping up. And I think that like the only way to sell the slop is through celebrity endorsement. The one thing I will say though is you got to be careful because like look what happened with the Doctor Disrespect game. You know what I mean? You tie your wagon to the wrong horse, and it can go very, very poorly for you. But otherwise, I think like, okay, we saw it with the guy. What's the guy's name? Like Markiplier's. I can't remember the name of the movie, and Iron Lung. Like he just told everyone on his channel, like, go see this movie 10 times, and you know, I'll buy you a horse or whatever. And then it just made like one of the most like the most money for an indie release in like the last 5 years or whatever. It's like, I think that you can't count out the power of celebrity when it comes to selling you half-baked dog shit products.
Knock, over to you.
Okay, listen, I largely agree with the sentiment of Koji's take, but in this case, if celebrity products are going to look and have this DNA, I want 1,000 celebrity products like this. Listen, the guys at Imagine Dragons are not some celebrity mouthpiece for this title. They are boots on the ground, actually helping with the development and structure of this game. There's a great little docuseries that they put together on the rationale of this game. The game feels good to play. It's a little clunky in certain aspects. It's something that they'll have to clean up. But the way that they talk about this title is actually incredibly impressive. They talk about solving the problems of capture the flag and how the game typically devolves into a most team members defend the flag, one guy goes and catches the game. They talk about ways to introduce mechanics like the radar towers and the grid search that creates a sort of control environment around capture the flag instead of a traditional capture the flag. These are guys who've seen a game mode. They've played it over decades in the games that they love, and they've come up with pretty innovative solutions on how to tackle this. When you play the game, you hear music and musical parts to like the characters and the creations within the world, and it's very clear that they've had their hands on this. The game reads well, the characters are well thought out, they have abilities that are associated to music and their personalities. I think it's a good approach. Now, it's the only approach I've ever seen from a celebrity, so I agree with Koji's sentiment. Most of this is shit. But I think in the case of Last Flag, you should at the very least give it a chance because it's pretty good.
Back to you,
yeah,
Coach.
Really quick. I just want to say that's not a comment on this game. I actually think that anything made with care can be made well, and celebrities are in a unique position to be able to like leverage their celebrity to make something interesting. Like I said this off mic, Gerard Way with Umbrella Academy, it won an Eisner Award. It's like one of the highest rated comics, you know, so I think it is possible for famous people to make cool things. I just, you know, I want to see it actually be cool. Hopefully everyone who's listening knows who Gerard Way is.
I don't. Thank you for asking. But Koji, what
singer
exactly?
From My Chemical
Romance.
What exactly do you mean? Or I guess, what's the value of a celebrity endorsement to you then? Like, of course they can make something good, but what does it mean whenever you see somebody that does have a lot of celebrity and they put their money, their time, their attention, their endorsement behind it? Does it mean anything to you, or you just go, it has as good a chance as anything else to be good, and it most likely will be bad, like most other things?
Yeah, I think it's both. What it means to me is more eyes on the product, right? So like the stakes are immediately higher, which I think is interesting, but like it doesn't equate to good.
Yeah, fair enough. Let's go to Oliver.
Yeah, I mean, look, I am bullish on celebrities making games with the caveat that they actually care about the game that they're making and understand kind of the back to front game loop of what they're doing and how they're doing it. This is not like Game Studio X paying them $5 million to say that this is their game. This is them saying, I want to build this game because I see X, Y, or Z in games that I've played in the past, and I want to add X, Y, or Z elements. Like, it needs to be somewhat innovative, but I really love the idea of having celebrities behind games. Actually, just to be honest with you, any influencer, as a matter of fact, like you talk about products and, you know, people that have done things outside the box, like Mark Rober with his Crunch Labs box that he has, which is like this kind of cool, innovative thing where they ship this box to a kid's house and you get to open it and you get to create actual like science projects essentially out of these boxes. And he's a huge YouTuber, but he has like a real passion for showing people all of these different really interesting things. And so that plays into his narrative as an influencer, and he actually genuinely cares about the product that he's putting in people's hands. So as long as that's possible, that's the beauty of this here. Otherwise, bullshit.
Let's go over to Jerry next. Jerry, what do you think?
I mean, I forgot who Imagine Dragons even was. So, you know, I just can't wait for this to be like the way they release their next album, and it's something we still don't listen to. I mean, I couldn't name 3 songs from Imagine Dragons. So the fact that we're calling these guys...
They're huge, dude. They're beyond huge.
Are they huge?
This
They
is
are-
going on
they are-
Imagine Dragons fan page like ASAP. The Reddit thread is
It'll
gonna
be like the time. It'll be like the time the Swifties came after me, dude. So
54
like,
million monthly active Spotify listeners just on Spotify.
Yeah, but how much of that is just like what was the first song they had, and then the Arcane song, right?
I'm gonna rattle off how
Arcane
successful
song?
their top 5
Really?
songs are real quick. 3.7 billion listens, 3 billion listens, 3 billion listens, 1.7 billion listens, 2.2 billion listens. That's insane for a top 5.
Well, in the
That's bigger
spirit
than
of
Drake.
in the spirit of Koji, you know, most of the world is morons, and you know, never be surprised at the consumerism of morons. So, hey, dude, I guess a lot of people will play the game. I mean, I couldn't be less interested in playing a game developed by Imagine Dragons, dude. Like, I think probably half this panel has a huge love of Larry David, right? Did we all use FTX because of Larry David? Now, I just think celebrity endorsements just don't really mean that much. And they really mean very little when they come from Imagine Dragons to me.
Oliver, what say you? Bullish or bullshit on this celebrity endorsement?
Dude, if Gerard Way made a game or Free Throw made a game, I'm all in though.
I can jump in though in terms of this. Like, I think celebrity, like, there's a difference between like celebrity endorsement, also, but like actually developing with the product. And like, I very much agree with Oliver and his camp of like, you actually need to be able to build with it. But like Koji said too, there's a double-edged sword there. There's attention and eyeballs right at the start. And so you have to be careful with that. One of like kind of a modern day version of it is Clicks and Lacey just did Tap Cap, which is honestly huge. Sold out within like seconds. Shout out Daring Glover. But like that, in terms of that stuff, was so on brand for them. And I think that's really what I care about for celebrity endorsements or celebrity like build products with, is does it align with the current community? Imagine Dragons building a game is kind of a little bit out there still in the entertainment industry. So it's really cool. But like Lacey and Clicks making like Tap Cap of a keyboard thing that's also a fidget toy, which is very much for their target demographic, I think was brilliant. And I think more of that, in my opinion.
Michael, over to you.
I think in today's world, it's a really fast way for a game to succeed, you know, overwhelmingly in distribution of everything in today's world, and eyeballs and attention obviously come from distribution. And if you can have a band that's one of the greatest on paper bands of all time, like being a part of your game, I think this is super, super bullish. Yes, I know that this might not have worked out in the past with NFTs or things like that, but NFTs and games are two very different things, as we found. And I do think if you have like a popular name attached to it, would do really well. However, you do also have to understand the risk of the opposite. We saw that with Dr. Disrespect, obviously, and whatever everything happens with him with the whole, you know, enraged thing, that game tanked because he's a part of it. So you have a double-edged sword in the sense that it's the greatest thing ever for you, but then it also could be what, you know, ruins you ultimately, because you know, these high-profile individuals, they do a lot of things that normal people don't do. And if they do something that crosses the line of public sentiment, then that public sentiment is going to bury your game.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just different, right? Like Dr. Disrespect, like built a brand on being a disrespectful dude who was like a character, right? Like Imagine Dragons is like the least offensive, you know, creative group of all time. It's like the most
It came out that they were talking to an underage person.
Yeah, we're talking about Dr. Disrespect, the guy who criticizes like COD and every game known to mankind that came out. Like he would be ultra critical, and then he tried to build his own game, and we won't go into deeper details about that right now.
Yeah, meanwhile, Imagine Dragons' second best song of all time just says lightning and thunder over and over.
Badass. So badass. I'm telling you right now.
Hey, ever heard of Tequila before? That's also a good one. They say one word.
Hey, man.
I think Jerry just found his new favorite band.
But I will also say this about like the NFT was also the NFT like paradigm of celebrities was also a huge cash grab, right? So like no one actually believed in the tech, right? It was the good tech was line go up. And so when it came down to it, it was a lot of it is a cash grab for it. And it was just so easy to mint for these NFTs that it was super easy to make money with just ones and zeros. And so that's why a lot of these celebrities with the advisors that they had came in and did it, which was also a huge stain on the industry for sure. But I think building a full-on game is a little bit more higher commitment, doing a series and, saying lightning and thunder 10 million times is also good.
All right, boys, let's move on. It's MVP voting time. We're almost out. It's almost the top of the hour.
Oh, yeah.
Jerry, who you got for MVP today?
Hands down, no, Peyton, you look so stupid, dude. It's Michael Christine. I just admire his ability to argue with everybody, dude. I mean, I felt like people were about to bring the pitchforks out, dude, and he stood his ground. I love Michael.
Michael, who you got MVP of the day?
My MVP absolutely is not anybody else but Jerry. Jerry came with fire takes. I almost gave it to Koji because you agreed with me on one thing, but then obviously you vehemently disagreed with me on everything else. So you're out. And I couldn't vote for Oliver because I'm not sure if he's actually there or if it's just an AOL slot bot.
Hey, you mean Oliver Elgato Moroni over there?
Don't talk Moroni.
I don't know what's going on anymore, guys. This is technical difficulties.
First the sound, then the video.
Crazy.
Yeah, this is crazy. We've gone from actually having a pretty smooth first episode to having a absolute third episode. So we're declining, boys. We're going in the wrong direction. Peyton, who you got? Who's your MVP?
I got to give it to Dump Truck Moroni. I know his audio came out a lot, but I agreed with a lot of his takes, which means that he's the MVP in my book.
You couldn't even hear him. What are you talking about? You agreed with that.
Gary, you look
That's what I was actually going to say that. Like, what did you hear that he said?
Everything.
Oh my God.
Spoke to his heart.
Behind the Elgato logo.
He's behind it. I'm going to try and come back here. My camera's dying. If you need me to record like extra answers here, this has been that is brutal. My MVP is actually Koji. Koji's my MVP.
Koji, who you got, buddy?
Good takes.
Koji.
My MVP is my microwave because you guys love eating reheated slop. So I think that that should win, but it wasn't on the show today. So I'm going to give, I'm going to give MVP to Peyton because he took a lot of shit at the beginning of this episode, a lot of heat, and, still
he deserved it.
Dished it right back out.
Yeah,
I stand by everything I said.
Yeah, he looks so stupid.
Hell yeah.
Jerry.
I think that means a bunch of people got one vote, which means I'm going to break
Peyton
the
didn't
tie.
vote yet.
I did. This is why you don't even listen to me,
bad.
dude.
I'm giving the MVP to Peyton. His takes were mid, but his energy was S tier. And as the host of this show,
Can't
I
even
care
read.
deeply about that. Peyton, your 60 seconds of FaceTime. Take us away, bud.
I was active in chat too the whole time. I was an active listener, even though I didn't have the best takes. Dude, I bring the energy for sure, and I will bring
That's
this
crazy.
energy and a whole bunch of other people. Hey, Jerry, it's not your time.
The MVP level has
right?
dropped so much. This guy didn't even understand the game mode for 30 minutes.
Hey, and I still won, Jerry. That's your takes, dude. That's your takes that are going to get to me. All right? So I'm going to tell you right now, next week, we're also bringing the energy to Wolves, and we're going to be doing a whole bunch of things for Project Origins, YGG Play, and then also OpenSea as well. And I can't wait to go to Koji's booth over there, even though I have to pay a freaking $1,000 to go see Koji. It's freaking crazy. But honestly, love supporting all of my friends and Sam, Lems, Phil behind the scenes. Thank you guys for putting on an amazing show. I had a whole bunch of fun. My cheeks are literally sore. And stop, Jerry. Get your head out of the gutter. Not those cheeks. Dude. Like you look at your grin, dude.
They are
It's
gonna
gross.
They are going to be cool in the game.
Yeah. We were the dump truck thing was going to come up there. You got to be careful there.
I love you guys. Thanks so much for making the time. We'll be on hiatus most likely next week for GDC, but then we'll be back business as usual. And shout out to Tony in Koji's lap.
Yeah.
Good high tones. Say hi.
Hi.
Nice.
There we go.
See you guys soon.